YouTube, bro. Hold on, bro. You know, I just clocked in. You know, I just clocked in. You know, I just clocked in. Amen. Hope y'all boys doing good. Hope y'all doing blessed. Hope you find a way out if you stuck in a way. Amen. We got Fent. Oh, bro, the green screen tripping out on me. We back. Green screen is tripping out. Let's get to it. Buddy, fentanyl cop.
When a police officer came to make headlines all over the US for taking a bunch of Fent while on the job and passing out in a bathroom stall, people came to demand he be fired, including his own fellow officers. When more and more information about him came to light, things were only made much worse. Even so, nobody could have expected his eventual end.
I never heard about the fentanyl cop. That cool. Appreciate it.
This is the story of a police officer out in Sacramento, California. Or to be more accurate, he was a police officer at the beginning of this tale. His downfall would come very quickly, and it's all thanks to the fact that he decided to partake in some things that he confiscated during some busts. Today we're going to be looking at the officer named Marvin Morales. It seems that his career started and played out very normally until the summer of 2023. That's when, on August 9th and August 15th, Marvin came to cite two different people for misdemeanor possession of drug paraphernalia charges while he was on duty.
2 days apart.
With each of the cases, he personally confiscated the paraphernalia himself and wrote completely identical crime reports about the both of them. He wrote, "I collected the glass pipe and secured it in my patrol vehicle. Due to the fragile state of the glass pipe and to avoid breaking it, I took a photograph of it with my department-issued iPhone as I would be using this photograph as evidence.
What you supposed to
I
do?
later safely disposed of the glass pipe at the Central Area Station. Little did anyone know, Marvin wasn't disposing of them at all. He later fully admitted to taking at least one meth pipe back to his home and smoking it 3 to 4 times over the next 2 months. He said that this gave him, quote, the energy he needed to write in-custody reports. However, it's very likely that he was using drugs much more, and that's only what he felt pressured to admit to. On October 24th, 2023, Marvin was on patrol when he came to stop a man at a Shell gas station at around 5:45 p.m. He had prior contact with this guy and knew very well that he was a drug dealer. When he approached the man, he asked him what was in his pockets.
Dude, I forgot your name, bro. What is it again? You were about to pass out the other night, though, last week. You was on that Fetty.
He was on that Fetty.
Yeah. Is that what that foil is right there in your pocket? Or be real with it. Just be real.
Why are you moving like that? He wigged out.
Yeah?
Could be.
Could be. Is it? I think it is.
I'm not sure.
Yeah?
This was when a man produced a drug wrapped in a
he might be wigged out.
Marvin confiscated the material as he usually did. While this was enough of a problem on its own, there was an even bigger problem here that Marvin didn't realize. Marvin thought that the drug was meth, and he was more than excited to partake. This was mainly because the man he was arresting told him so.
That's why you don't take it.
What exactly is this?
Stay away from drugs.
Pistol? Pistol?
Little did he know, it was a whole wad of fentanyl. He took the drug with him and gave the man a citation for possession of methamphetamine. Marvin took the tinfoil pouch of goodies and went back to
Bruh, I was gonna say, don't they supposed to take it back to like the department, then test it, then charge them with whatever it is that they're just assuming and charging them with it?
the sheriff's office, the Central Division Station to be specific.
How we did on
it was
the force?
close to the
How we
public,
did
it would be a secure place to take a hit without being seen. While on duty and in full uniform, he made his way into one of the bathroom stalls and pulled out an orange lighter from his pocket. He then whipped out one of the pipes he had stolen
You're an
recently,
idiot. Why are you
inserted the
smoking?
drug from the foil, and lit it up. Given the amount of Fent he had just inhaled, he immediately overdosed and collapsed to the floor. For some reason, he had his wiener hanging out of his uniform. A janitor came into the bathroom and found him on the floor, luckily not too long after he
Why are you
sparked
doing
up.
his pants down?
He said Marvin was making snoring noises and that his skin tone was abnormally pale. He then notified another deputy who rushed out to the scene. That deputy came to see him on the ground, pants undone, junk hanging out, not breathing at all, and featuring
Why
some
is your
blue
pants
lips.
hanging down while doing
It doesn't
Fent?
seem that he noticed the pipe on the ground next to him and the lighter still gripped in one of his hands. More deputies arrived on scene and quickly pulled out some Narcan to do their best to bring Marvin back to life. He revived with a jolt of activity shortly upon receiving it. They moved him out of the bathroom and into the hallway as they waited for the paramedics to show up. Soon after, he was taken to the hospital where, luckily for him, it looked like he was going to survive. Given that the other officers trusted Marvin, it was originally assumed that he had unintentionally exposed himself to some narcotics that he had confiscated. One of the deputies went out to his cruiser to see if they could find what he had been exposed to, but there wasn't anything. With that came a hunch that maybe this wasn't so accidental after all. This deputy would soon prove that the exposure was likely intentional in one simple way. The deputy asked some of the police at the hospital to check the pockets of Marvin's clothes. When they did so, they quickly came across the little tinfoil baggie in his pants pocket. Those at the scene soon after noticed the pipe on the floor in the bathroom and the lighter that had been dropped. Things weren't looking so good. While in the hospital, Marvin eventually regained consciousness. He was left to give some answers to his colleagues' burning questions. Marvin, struggling to come up with an answer, originally blamed the whole thing on a battle with depression. He said that his mental state had really deteriorated while he was serving in the Middle East and only grew worse when he started becoming a police officer. He said that he would cry every day before coming into work and had been isolating himself from his family. He said that this whole thing was a one-off attempt on his own life. However, once again, Marvin would be proven wrong in a very simple way. Given the large-scale emergency response and media attention that Marvin's hospitalization gained, it was only natural that more questions were raised. The chief deputy, Matt Peterson, wrote, "The large-scale emergency response to Deputy Morales prompted multiple media reports of his potential chemical exposure, generating genuine concern from the community, which will ultimately result in discredit to the sheriff's office when it is revealed that he was not a victim and his actions were intentional." Marvin was made to undergo some drug testing. Both his blood and his hair tested positive for meth.
Damn.
The testing laboratory actually said that the hair test is best for picking up chronic, long-term drug use, saying that the results show about 90 days of activity. That meant that Marvin had actually been helping himself to the little treasures he had collected on duty for quite some time, possibly even before he collected the paraphernalia in mid-August 2 months prior that they knew about. The chief deputy added that his, quote, "purported intention to commit suicide by smoking the illegal substance lacks reliability based on his proven willingness to be dishonest." All of this actually made Marvin eligible for a number of misdemeanor crimes in California. These were being under the influence of a controlled substance, possession of narcotic paraphernalia, possession of a controlled substance fentanyl, possession of a controlled substance methamphetamine, and embezzlement by a police officer. When it came out that he had lied, Marvin then changed his story to say that he took one of the pipes in August and only smoked a small hit from it 3 to 4 times to get the energy to fill out paperwork.
Yeah.
All of the officers interviewed said that they felt he would no longer be able to uphold normal ethical standards as a deputy sheriff based on the trust he had eroded away with his lies so far. One officer said, "I can never trust him as to when he makes any contact, finds narcotics, finds money, finds anything. It is a horrible embarrassment across the law enforcement community. Our individual actions are not individual. They affect us not just as an organization, but they affect us as an entire occupation, as we've seen in previous history." Many more of Marvin's co-workers went on record to say that they were disappointed in him and recommended he be fired. They didn't trust him to tell the truth anymore, and they didn't trust him to come to work sober. The sheriff's office posted a huge 468-page report, body cam footage, and even pictures from the investigation on their website due to all the public questioning. A case for his termination was submitted on December 12th. The sheriff's office came to order him to be fired. Marvin tried to get out of it by quitting himself. He signed a letter of resignation on February 2nd, 2024, saying that he was leaving the job for personal reasons.
You can't fire me, I fire myself.
Was given on the 7th, only a few days later. The termination took priority over his voluntary leaving, with the Sacramento County Sheriff's Office saying, "He has been decertified by California Post, which means that he cannot work as a police officer anywhere in the state of California." With that, Marvin had nothing left to do but go home to his family. It isn't known what kind of career he picked up after that, if any. In fact, not much about his life would come to be known until months later. Nobody really expected to ever hear from him again, especially in the media. Most people considered his case to be over with. Unfortunately, that was not the case.
What happened? You got caught up with something
Marvin
again?
continued to be, more or less, a regular family man sort of dad in the neighborhood over the next year. On the 4th of July, his family, along with some of the other neighbors' families, even launched fireworks together in the neighborhood streets. In fact, the families were so close they would even check up on each other's.
Folks be shooting fireworks at 1 a.m., bro. I go to work the next day. I'm trying to sleep.
houses when they were out of town for a while. Marvin grew close with one of his neighbors, talking to him about football and boxing pretty often. This neighbor said that there was no sign that there was anything wrong with him. In fact, Marvin and his wife had been planning a short vacation to the Bay Area. Things would all come to change on December 2nd, 2025. That morning, Marvin's wife had left for work while he stayed at home. At their house on the 7600 block of Farrell Way in Elk Grove, he sat with his 11-year-old son and his 6-year-old daughter. It was just after 8 a.m. when the mother got to work. There, she decided to look at an app where she could view the security cameras in their home. This could be a little bit alarming on its own. After all, it isn't often that a mom feels the need to immediately check the cameras at her house when arriving to work when she knows her husband is watching the kids. If she had a hunch that he might do something, her hunch was right. She watched in horror as Marvin began beating her son on camera. She called the police in a panic, telling them what was happening in her house. She couldn't do anything but watch as the attack played out. Marvin then took out a knife and stabbed the boy.
No.
She watched him fall to the ground unresponsive as Marvin began to collect his things and make a run for it. The police made their way out to the home very quickly. They found the boy there, Mar Aris Alan Morales, and began CPR on him immediately. Eventually, the fire department was able to rush him to a local hospital. Inside the home, they found Marvin's 6-year-old daughter, luckily unharmed but left all alone. The officers then found Marvin's gun case empty.
Did the kid survive?
Given that he hadn't used it in the attack, it must have meant that he took it with him on the run. Now they had an armed and dangerous, drug-using ex-cop on the loose. The daughter was evaluated at the hospital. When she was found to be unharmed, she was released to her mom. Unfortunately, the son died shortly after. Now the police also had a homicide case on their hands. A few different law enforcement agencies, including Marvin's own old department, assisted in searching for him. He was in his car, rushing away from the scene when an officer, Sheriff Jared Cooper, spotted him traveling south on Interstate 5 near Pocket Road. He immediately alerted the other units over dispatch.
He had to be weighed out. With
that, a car chase ensued. Several different agencies tried to pull Marvin over to no avail. He would dodge them and flee each time. It was clear that they weren't going to capture him through normal means. Officers then placed a spike strip in the path of Marvin's SUV. Marvin hit the spikes and the car was sent crashing near the freeway's junction with State Route 12 in a city called Lodi. Marvin then hopped out of his car. While the details of what happened exactly at that moment aren't known for sure, he must have pulled his gun. While it has never been made clear as if to Marvin fired a shot or not, it's evident that, at the least, he made it appear he was going to do so. Two deputies from Marvin's own old department fired at him, along with a few officers from other agencies.
I would have let that jump go.
Collapsed to the ground. Meanwhile, Marvin's neighbor was at home, watching the whole thing play out on TV in pure disbelief. Other neighbors were calling him from work after seeing their houses on the news, asking in a panic what was happening. It wasn't long after that Marvin's car was shown on TV. The neighbor said, "We had been watching the news when he was stopped. It was his car. He had been shot." Marvin was rushed to a local hospital himself, but there was no way he was going to survive with as many shots as he had taken. He died shortly after. Things were quiet back at his house as investigators combed through the home, walking in and out with different material they found to be relevant to the investigation. A different neighbor of Marvin said, "My wife dropped the kids off, we came back home, and there were cops everywhere, more than I'd ever seen. Our hearts just dropped. We were heartbroken when we saw that. This is shocking to us. Our hearts are broken." The Elk Grove police came to detail to the media that the man behind it all was none other than Marvin Morales, the Fent-smoking cop who made headlines a year prior. Marvin's wife has decided to stay anonymous. She had already been doing her best to do so ever since her husband first appeared in the media the last time. All we know about her is that now she's trying to remove herself from the case as she deals with the aftermath of all that had happened.
I'm trying to move
The
myself too,
spokesperson
bro.
for the
Like,
Sacramento County Sheriff's Office, where Marvin used to work,
supposedly husband
said,
killed my
"It's
kid, bro.
gross. Nobody wants to hear something like this, especially when it involves a former
I'll be
deputy.
sick.
But again, our focus is with the family. He's kind of an ancillary piece." Very little information has been released about Marvin's family aside from his son's name. The mother has made no comments to the media, and nothing is known about her or her daughter's living situation since the crime. We are also left knowing nothing about Marvin's motive when it came to the sudden assault and murder of his son that day. With the only people who could answer that question being long gone, we will likely never know.
Damn.
Once again, thank you for watching my video. If you found it interesting, please give it a like.
Man, Marvin just hacked my camera. You see how my camera just went unfocused after... You literally see how my camera just went unfocused after the video ended? Yo, my camera is not even focusing anymore. Yo, what the heck? Yo. You see how my camera's not even focusing on you? The man Marvin hacked my camera. But hey, man. Man, I ain't about to hold y'all up, bro. We'll get at y'all on the next one, bro. Nigga Marvin hacked my camera. I gotta find out how to fix my camera, bro. Next time.